hear a couple of more interesting tips about Chinese culture.
I think another one that we typically see, I guess, our users bringing in is that they were told yes by a supplier, but there was something that went wrong. And I'm sure you've heard this before too, where a supplier will say yes, yes, yes to all the specifications, but they don't really understand all of them. And if they can't regurgitate everything that you said and they can't put that into, let's say, a design file, or they don't want to add it into the contract, or you don't see it in the contract in the first place, it's because they don't actually understand what you're trying to achieve. And so to get around just that particular scenario with the yes, it's like you said many times, building that relationship with them, doing those Zoom calls, sending them videos, building your own prototype if you have to, ordering your competitor's product and shooting a video about what's breaking. And so this is the quality measure I really want to avoid. How can we do that? And if they don't say, yes, we can do that, it's going to be an additional 5 cents. And we're going to have to include these parts and pieces, and the production lead time might change, then they're not fully understanding what you're asking for. So always prying into what that yes means. Same thing with pricing. If you're shooting for the lowest price, and you know, I see this all the time, Amazon sellers shooting for, let's say, 10% less or 5% less even. If you're pinching pennies and they say yes, they're going to think that I'm doing right by this buyer by reducing the price. What I don't need to tell them, because I'm hitting their target price, is that I'm using cheaper material or I'm cutting out quality assurance processes. I'm sure you have some stories for that too.
Oh yeah.
I
One
know.
of the just on that note though, and I think it's important. I know we've talked, we've had podcasts about sourcing in the past, but one of the things that is so important, again, this is what I would consider Chinese culture. I don't know why, but you have to 100% sign off on a production sample. So we talk about inspection, and you got to do inspection as well. But product sample, sign off, and then what happens is you'll see over a period of time with many manufacturers that the quality of your product will slowly deteriorate. And it happens a lot. People will see it, and then finally you'll start to get these 1 stars or 2 stars complaining about this, that, or the other. When you're putting in, and you have to add this to your pro forma, is that it has to match the original product sample that you signed off on. And if you don't do that, I pretty much guarantee that at least 50, but more like probably 70% of the time, you, over a longer term period, it just happens. So I don't know why, but it happens.
Well, and they do something very particular in cabinetry specifically. And that's where they will take a cabinet sample, they'll cut out a square of it, and they'll paint it exactly how that final product has to be painted. And they'll store it in an airtight container. And every, I think, six months to a year, they'll reinspect that compared to what they're getting. And what you'll find is it could be that they're changing raw material suppliers. So it's a slightly more yellow or off-white color than what it started on.
Mm-hmm.
And same things with any other product, right? I mean, the supply chain changes so rapidly that they could be changing raw material suppliers. They could have changed engineers, and the engineer just looks at it differently. And they say, we don't need to do all these extra steps. We can just cut that out, save some money, have a higher margin, and build this product, which is the same product in their eyes. But that's when you'll see the 1-star reviews and those rates of returns just increasing